What is going on, everybody? I'm in a car. I've got Shauna driving. I got Andrew in the back seat. We're headed up to NorCal, and we were just talking about areas of the world that lack innovation. And one of the biggest areas we're seeing right now that completely lacks innovation is the medical industry. Not like the pharmaceutical companies, because they're always trying to figure out some way of capturing your money. But I'm talking about, just on the hospital level. And it's not the doctor's fault, it's not the nurse's fault, it's not the medical professional's fault, it's the industry in general. They get beaten down into submission. And when you go to the hospital, they're not even really looking at you. They're trying to figure out what you got so they can go in a book. They got an index of tabs so that they can figure out exactly what the book says, the way the book says to treat you. So, we've been talking over the last week about, people in their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, early 40s, heading toward that middle age mark. What should your fitness goals be? Well, in my opinion, one of the biggest fitness goals you should have is staying the hell out of the hospital. Because once you get there, once you show up with something like diabetes or heart disease or cancer or any of those things, no matter what they tell you, you're pretty much already fucked. The whole point there then is to spend your life trying to avoid that point, trying to spend your life avoiding the point where you're so weak that you're not going to be able to recover. That's why I say fitness is freedom. That's why every time we go to the gym, every time we eat something that's good for our bodies, every time we avoid something that's bad for us, that's a little nail in our freedom ladder that allows us to live our lives without having to worry about that crap. Andrew back here, he had a traumatic brain injury, and he spent years trying to figure out exactly what was going on with himself. And it wasn't until he ventured himself outside of that medical model that was propositioned for him that he was able to figure out what would work for him. And huge transformation here. He's got a book coming out. It's going to be called Tales from the Blast Factory.
That's it, man. Tales from the Blast Factory, or the Blast Factory, and it'll be coming out here in the probably around March or April timeframe.
Yeah, Andrew was a Special Forces operator, Green Beret, and he was dealing with explosives every single day that he was on deployment, and that's why it's called Tales from the Blast Factory. And you never got hit by anything, right?
Yeah, no direct hits. I was only knocked unconscious once, so you don't have to necessarily be knocked out to have head trauma. So what their story's really about is how to navigate the difficult terrains of life and how you can elevate your internal state to be greater than your environment, to be greater than your external circumstance. And we think we got a blueprint in there that really can provide some benefit for everybody's quality of life.
Yeah. And it starts with a decision, right? That's the biggest thing.
That's it, man. The decision is deciding, hey, what is it that you want to do? Whether that's fitness, start a business, whatever. You have to decide that this is what you're going to do, and you have to have a reason and a why behind it. And without that, it's all going to fall short. It's going to come up kind of empty because it's shallow. But if you have a real why, a purpose, a meaning behind it, and that's tied up to a higher state of living, now, man, you're starting to get in alignment, and things start to kind of develop in a much more advantageous way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, he had to decide that he was gonna do that research. He had to decide that he was gonna go outside of what was being presented to him, the truth, the quote-unquote truth that was being presented to him, to figure out what was actually gonna work for him. And if you want to live your best life, if you want to improve your life from what it is right now, if you want to stay out of misery and pain when you're older, you have to make decisions. You got to decide that you want your life to be better. You got to decide to put that work in, and you got to decide that you're going to stay the hell out of the damn hospital before you're of old age and it's time to go away for permanently. Because there's too many people ending up there not understanding the fact that it was their actions that got them there in the first place. Right? Their decision not to eat right, their decision not to take care of themselves, that leads to chronic disease, diabetes, cancer, heart disease. And by the time you end up in the hospital in front of a nurse or a doctor, there's already so many things you could have done. So that's the message for today, guys. And we will see you again later on and tomorrow with another vlog.